All right, so I think, let me see if there's anybody that is new to me here. Everybody seems to know me. Okay, so let's get rolling real quick, right? So I'd love to hear a little feedback based on what we talked about last Monday. If you recall, if you don't see your notes, if you didn't take notes, just stare at me and I'll figure it out and we'll start talking. Okay, so I'll start talking. Here's one thing that I did make note of. When we were talking last week, I introduced conceptually how I approach board members. So I'm prodding you along here. Does anybody remember the 3 words that I use? Cindy, go ahead. The 3 words that I use. Doesn't mean you have to, but it works for me.
I don't remember the specific 3 words.
All right. You were off mute, so I figure you knew. All right, here we go.
Oh, no.
You made a good point because I have notes in here that Cindy, I want to attest that you made a very good point and observation, so I'll share that with you. But for everybody, Heath, by any chance, do you remember? Because I know we had some intimate discussions about this as well.
I don't remember the 3 words. I know I've got it wrote down, but it's somewhere in my notebook.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you talking about the are you interested and willing?
One more. Come on, Lynn, you're almost there.
Willing, interested, and able?
Interested, willing to learn.
To learn.
Interested and willing to learn. So remember and the reason I bring it up, Cindy, she made a very good point, and I'll share that with you in a second. The idea conceptually is when we're approaching these people, this person, Heather was coming on pretty strong and saying, well, screw you. If you don't give to me, I'm not giving to you. Like, she was just straight up. I'm like, okay, she's not even Italian, and I like her approach. But the idea is we got to temper that a little bit. Remember, it is context prior to content. Context prior to content. What that means, and again, from my perspective, is this. The content is kind of like what Heather was saying. I've been giving to you, you're going to give to me, or I'm not giving to you anymore. That's the end result. Like, you need to do this. Nobody's arguing with that. But the context is the story we talk about prior to the content. And the story is what sets the framework to increase the likelihood of success. So if we know, and this is what I tell people all the time, tell me what you want. I want this from them, whatever it is that I want, great. Put that aside. Now let's create a story around that that will resonate with them, something that will stick in their head, something that will get them to lean into us to get that result. And Lynn, you did a great job. Are you interested and willing to learn? Now, that has worked very well for me. In the beginning, I was very straightforward, kind of like what Heather was doing. I want this, I'm giving this to you, etc. And it was almost like the impression that I got was this. Holy crap, I work with other people that just give me business and I don't have to try and give them anything. So this is too difficult for me. So that initial approach, that harder approach, pushed more people away than brought in. So this was over the course of time, right? I say this all the time. You can go to YouTube and get free coaching, but are you actually getting coached? Meaning one-on-one. So conceptually, when we take a look at that, that harder method can work. But generally speaking, when you ask the question and frame this entire conversation differently, you're more than likely going to get a better response. And someone who's actually interested and willing to learn. So you got to dissect that. Number one, it requires humility. I do this thing on another day. I'll talk about it another time, but it would be the components of confidence. I don't believe that anybody just has confidence. God's given us a lot of stuff. But I've seen over the course of my career, my mentorship coaching, my evolution as I grow as well, that coaching for me is, confidence for me has something that has grown through my experiences and the application of those experiences. To me, the number one component of confidence is humility. Without humility, we can't grow. We create this barrier that protects our ego and our pride, our self-worth. You're attacking who I am, the value I bring to the community, to the world. You're attacking that. No, it's never an attack. When you approach everything as something that is brought to you to help you, it's never an attack. So if we don't have humility, we're not even allowing those things to happen. When I approach somebody and I say, are you interested and willing to learn? I got news for you, gang. And I'm building up to Cindy's kickback. She said, Paulie, sometimes you got to date a lot of people before you find that one that's going to honor their word. Okay, do you remember that, Cindy? And she makes an exceptionally valid point. So what I did was this. God bless you, Heather. What I did was I had a very, very intimate discussion with Heather after last week's call. And Heather, you can come off mute, we can chat. And I'm going to tell everybody exactly what happened to Cindy's point. This is all Cindy right now. Think about this. I got on the phone with Heather and I invested time into Heather. I invested time into Heather's head to help her. It was a very moving conversation for both of us. And at the end of that conversation, she identified that I did for her what nobody else has. Cindy, to your point, because I'm building, at that moment, I said, I've honored my word and contributed to the growth of Heather. The growth isn't always monetary. And you're going to learn that because I believe that most of the time, you're sitting in front of Corey, Gretchen, Felicia, and Paulie, and other coaches, I'm sure. And they're teaching you something, and yet you're not applying it. So when you start to apply it, the money follows. Money follows momentum. So sometimes the growth is as a human being, as a communicator, as a performer, to get to the point where the money shows up. So I honored my word with Heather. And then I said to Heather, have I done enough to earn the next buyer opportunity that you get? Because that's how I feed my family. And she said, yes. This is to Cindy's point. If Heather doesn't honor her word, we're not on each other's bond. It's very simple. She's a wonderful human being. She's awesome to talk to, but might not be the right fit for my board of directors. There's nothing wrong with that, gang. But my point is, it happened on one call. Not 3 lunches, not 4 happy hours, not being out of the tip Rotary Chamber. I don't do that. I don't need to. You all are collecting information and data and perspective from all of us that empowers you to be that good. One call, one appointment. And get this, jokingly, but seriously, I didn't have to shower. I didn't have to shave. I didn't have to get in the car. I didn't have to fight traffic. I didn't flip anybody the bird because I was stuck in traffic. None of that happened. So I am truly appreciating the talent and the gifts that God has given me, which all of you are to me. Quite honestly, we talked about that as well. And I'm going to nurture it to the best of my ability in honor of my maker's talent that he's given to me to give away. I don't need to spend money, time, or invest anything other than this. So Heather and I didn't look at the phone call, but I'm going to say it was a 15 to 20 minute call. Is that fair, Heather?
Yeah.
Is there anything that I said now that was not an accurate depiction of that call?
No.
So Cindy, to your point, and everybody needs to understand this as well, Cindy was 100% correct. But the point that I make with everybody is this: no matter what anybody says, myself included, I'm always looking to make it more efficient. Not smarter, like people say, I'm going to work smarter, not harder. I don't understand that. Here's why I say this. And again, remember, these are just my perspectives. Doesn't mean they're right. They're my perspectives. I actually believe you need to work harder before you learn how to work smarter. You have to do the work to figure out how to get smarter at that. So I don't know how you can magically work smarter at something that you haven't done. And I'm sure there's a way. I haven't figured it out yet. So for me, I've always used the word be more efficient with what you're already doing. As an example, you're sitting in the hairdresser's chair. You're sitting at your photographer's open house, listing photos, and you're with the photographer for 20 minutes. What did you talk about? Did you collaborate? Did you try and grow a business together? Did you introduce what you're building that he could become part of or she could become part of? What did you do in the 20 minutes? Be more efficient with what you're doing. And most importantly, you need somebody to analyze whether or not you were more efficient. It's very difficult to do on your own. That is the challenge with a lot of things that we're teaching, and a lot of things you guys are learning from us, and I'm sure many other coaches. So with Heather and I, here's the thing that I came to the conclusion that I felt as though it is very relevant to share with all of you. It was a poignant moment in our conversation. She's being coached by another team of wonderful people, I'm sure. I have nothing bad to say about anybody. There's no reason. You guys have to figure out which resonates with you. What moves you? Your heart, your gut, your brain, what moves you, what excites you? Stay closer to that person or people. The thought process was this. She was taught to niche down, figure out whatever that is. First-time home buyers, investors, senior citizens, niche down. I'm not saying that's wrong. I have a different perspective. My perspective is this, gang. The niche that I think we could all be investing time into is ourselves. Work on your performance. Work on your delivery. Work on your acting skills. And the joke I said to her, I say to everybody all the time, Robert De Niro, name any professional actor or actress that you like. I'm not here to pick a side. I'm just saying as an example. Think about this for a second. If it were Robert De Niro, for the sake of this example, I need you to grasp this concept. This is a human being that takes somebody else's story, learns that script, and then gets us to believe he is that story. To the point where we cry, we get happy, upset, we laugh, we get pissed off, and then we give the guy an award. Like, I need you to grasp the concept. It's not even his story. He's a professional actor. He made us believe he was a cop, a doctor, a criminal, a whatever. So when I'm educating and empowering people, I'm not looking at the niche of the end result, because that is what? The content. I'm working on the context, which is your story, not mine. So when we talk about this kind of stuff, being the best performer you can be and then plugging it into real estate, you'll do wonderfully. Plugging it into financial services, you'll do wonderfully. Being a better teacher, you'll do wonderfully. It all comes back to your ability to perform and communicate a message that is what? One of influence. Influence. That's who's making the money, the influencers. So I don't teach real estate per se. I'm in different capacities for different people of different institutions. So when I look at this, I don't think it has anything to do with real estate. I think it more has to do with your ability to execute on a performance that is award-worthy. And then most importantly, who is analyzing your performance? If you're not having anybody do that, how do you know that it is Emmy award-winning, Oscar award-winning? Everybody has critics. Everybody has people in the audience paying attention to their performance. Who's paying attention to yours? The only feedback you're getting is from your buyer or seller. That's not the feedback I'm looking for. And here's the challenge. Observe this. You can't be your own critic because you're in the performance. The performer cannot analyze his or her performance because they're in the performance. You need somebody outside. And until you employ that person, you're going to continue to get frustrated, figure out why isn't this working? When if you think about this on a very, very elementary level, if any of you have had children or understand the concept of having children and they join a sport, don't they show up with the teammates and there's a coach there? And then they go to the next sport and there's teammates and a coach there giving them feedback on everything they're doing on the field. Someone wants to do music lessons, who's there? The conductor of the symphony giving feedback. Why is it that as children, it is 100% natural for us to see that? And as soon as we become adults, don't need it anymore. Really? I'm so confused by that. I really am. I'm not even saying it sarcastically. I'm so confused that when we become adults, we no longer subscribe to what we did as children. Maybe it's because we think we've elevated. That doesn't make any sense to me, because every professional athlete, every actor, every singer, every person of a high level has coaches throughout their life. Nobody ever shows up to the basketball court in the NBA and the coaches aren't there. They're still there, coaching the adults, the mega athletes. Why is it that we don't associate at that level? Forget about how many zeros are in their paycheck. That's immaterial. Why aren't we treating ourselves the same way they treat themselves? This is $100 a month. This is a joke. This is nothing. You're doing it. That's fantastic. The next question is, when you start to apply it, use this methodology. Remember the 50, 70, 90 rule. Heather, I think this is new to you. So the 50, 70, 90 rule, I'll draw it for you. Hold on one second. Does anybody remember that? Oh, damn it.
I remember you talking about it, but I don't remember the details.
Fair enough. These details are important because it's how we learn. This is not my invention. This is the people that study research brains and all this kind of stuff. I just took their data. It makes perfect sense. The 50, 70, 90 rule. 50% of what you hear today, you'll forget in 1 hour. 70% of what you hear today, you'll forget in 1 day. 90% of what you hear today, you'll forget in 1 week, until you've heard it 7 times. So I tell everybody, now there are some people that are smarter. There are some people that apply a lot faster. But this is the average, I think, of like 700 brains and data and research that I populated from what these guys presented. And it makes sense because when I ran a mortgage company years ago, the owner, my friend, would come to me and go, how can you keep repeating yourself again and again and again and them not doing it? I said, because I haven't got the 7 times yet. Once I got the 7 times and they do it, now we got a problem. But until then, it's not fair because this is how the brain fires. So just think about how many times you may have seen me do this or heard me do this or any of the other coaches, and it hasn't worked yet for you, or you haven't been able to apply it yet. I look at this, I'm like, okay, you should be attending and digest all this and do your research and talk to yourself and talk to one of us. And after so many times hearing this, if it's not working, you're either in the wrong lane or you need to just employ one of us privately to help you apply this. Now, again, circumstances are different for everybody, which is why they say it takes between 60 and 260 days to form new, they call them habits, I call them reflexes, between 60 and 260 days. Why is there such a disparity? Why isn't everybody getting this done in 60 days? Life, children, animals, husband's an alcoholic, wife's addicted to drugs, lost my job, I'm going into foreclosure. It's life, gang. 60 to 260 is how long it takes. So someone that's 60, every day diligent, nothing else is distracting me. 60 days, I got it. And 260 is, man, stuff is happening. So even to Cindy's point, I've heard you talk about it before. I know, well, it's because you haven't heard it 7 times, Cindy. It's really that simple, right? So if we just keep repeating this, and I got news for you. I jokingly tell people, say that to yourself 7 times. You won't forget it. It's just the way that we work. And then the challenge is applying it. The execution of what you're learning is enormous. Everybody always says, take action, take action. Corey's big. Take action. It's almost that simple. Well, if it was that simple, why isn't everybody doing it? Because it's not that simple. Wait, I don't understand. Just take action. That's hard. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Why? I don't know. It just is. Look at the data. This is how our brain works. We're not machines yet. We're getting there, but we're not machines yet. So think about that. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Aspire to excellence, but also identify how we function, how we operate. Sin, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to take us down a little bit different path, but I think it may be relevant for others. When we were talking about our bod, I've been talking with different lawyers, specifically estate planners. There's two different ones that I've talked to. One is very willing to work with me and partner with me. He doesn't, very excited about it. Then there's another one who has an amazing reputation and everybody in my circle knows her and loves her. But because everybody knows her and loves her, she's not as willing to do the reciprocity because, of course, she has other realtors that she's working with as well. So my struggle right now is, I feel super comfortable referring anyone to this person that is, has other realtors that she's working with. And I feel only moderately comfortable referring people to this, to the first person.
Okay, so let's do this. And I'm going to answer this question. I don't know if you all saw this on the Facebook page. If you didn't, I want to share it with you very quickly. It is relevant. And Cindy, I'm going to answer your question. Super proud of Kelly Anderson. If you didn't see this picture, it's on the Facebook page, but that's for all of you. Let me block the light so you can kind of see this. That's a picture of her board of directors meeting. So Kelly had financial advisor, doctor. She had 5 professionals on her board meeting. I hosted the board call for her, and now we're collaborating on exchanging business with each other. You will all be there. That's Kelly Anderson. Very proud of her. This is not a struggle. To me, here's my thought. Cindy, which estate planner do you want to be? The really popular one? Or the medium? You want to be? Okay, you're the really popular one. I'm Paul Conti. Obviously, you're phenomenal. And I'm summarizing quickly for the sake of time. You're phenomenal. I'm phenomenal. We're mutually introduced. Everybody loves and knows you. Here's the thought process. I'm doing something that I have not experienced in 2, 5, 8, 10 years of real estate, meaning I'm generating clients every single month that need wills and trust every month. Let me tell you what I'm doing, Sim. I ask every one of my buyers, sellers, friends, family, cousins, aunts, if I bump into you, I ask you this question. When was the last time you updated your will? Sid, here's what I've learned. 67% of the population doesn't have a will or a trust. 67%. Last year, I closed 20 deals. I closed 10 deals. You guys plug your numbers in. I multiplied my 20 closings by 67. I made one phone call every day for 20 days. And I asked every single one of my clients, did you update your will after settlement? I got 10 people that did nothing and want to meet you. I'm looking to create a partnership like no other. So I would love to bring all of my clients to you. I'm interviewing for a seat on my board of directors table, my real estate empire, my dynasty, my corporation. Dynasty's Heather's. I stole it. She's here. So I'm looking to fill that seat with that person. So if I'm getting this type of volume and business for you, would you be interested and willing to learn how to generate business from me? Cindy, you say what as the top dog estate planner in town? You say what to me?
Yeah, of course.
Cindy, beat me up. Make it harder. Make it harder, honey.
Oh, well, I don't know. I've got relationships with a lot of realtors, and I don't know if I feel comfortable working, putting a priority on you over the others.
Okay, thank you for saying that. I appreciate your honesty. Let me ask you this question. How many of those realtors taught you what I just taught you that I'm doing and bringing this type of volume to you?
Well, there's one that's sending me a lot of business, but yeah, not really. Yeah.
Okay. And off role play for a second, gang. Almost 100% of the time, you're going to get 0. Because what you've just learned about the strategy I teach, nobody's doing. There's no brokerage I've ever done in 20 years that's teaching that. So the likelihood of you getting a response from the estate planner saying, yeah, they all do that. No, they don't. You're lying. If any of you on this call can identify you've never been taught that, guess what? The other realtors haven't been taught that. So I'm doing the linguistic approach that I'm doing because I know that I trapped you. And I know that when you try and give me the Heisman, you try and give me that pushback, I know that I'm going to say to you, of all the realtors, how many of them have ever done what I'm doing, learned the data about your industry, went back and talked to 20 clients and generated this much business from doing that? The answer is none. It doesn't mean they're going to peel away from all those people and give you everything. But I've got to set you up, which is why I teach your performance. It's the ability to communicate this message so that sometimes we'll defer. And I saw Linda's head nod. I got her today for private coaching, so we're going to fix that. But Linda was like, yeah, that's what the hell I'm talking about, Paulie. Why would they give them all to me? They give them to me because they've never experienced anyone like me. I'm elevating the status with which this conversation's happening. This performance is something they've not had before. Remember, if you want someone to react differently towards you, you've got to act differently towards them. Everybody in your entire life is merely giving you feedback based on what you gave them. That's it. It's not an objection. It is feedback based on what you gave them. It's that simple. So I don't teach people how to overcome an objection. The objection is because of the performance. And really, it's not an objection. They're just sharing with you based on what you said to them. It's feedback. All feedback is good from my perspective. So, Sin, that's my thought, right? Now that we've created that separation, if it needs to come down to this, okay. Well, that's your sister, that's your cousin, you've been dealing with them for 20 years. Right, but you see I'm doing something different. Let's take a look at your book and sources. Let's take a look at your book. In the last 12 months, how many clients did you give out that had to buy or sell real estate? 12. I'm making a number up. 12. Okay, so how many would you peel away and give to me for what I'm doing for you? 3. Great. I'll give you 3, you give me 3. Who's next and dying? Who's in hospice? Who's the next client you're giving me? Gang, never walk away from the dinner table unless you're fed. If you're going to be feeding somebody else, you need to teach them, educate, empower, hold accountable, EEH, educate, empower, hold accountable for the what? The rules of engagement. You just did this for them. You told me you were interested and willing to learn. Great. I'm now going to teach you how to support my children like I'm supporting yours. I don't give and then hope, right? That's hopium. That's a nasty drug. You're stuck on the pipe. I hope I get something. I hope they like me. Screw that. I'm going to get commitment right now. It doesn't mean you have a buyer or seller right at this moment, but just like with Heather, what did I say to Heather? Heather, have I done enough to earn that next buyer that you get? Yes. Great. That's how I feed my family. So I know that Heather is the kind of person that's going to honor her word. And today, tomorrow, next day, she's going to call me, Paul, I got that buyer. Thank you, darling. And we're engaged as partners. This is the part of the role play where I hold the hand or I put my arm around your neck or I put you in a chokehold to get you to do these kind of things. Questions or thoughts? We're up against the clock. Did that help at all, Sin? I'd love to hear the feedback from you when you approach those two. Now, keep in mind, before I go on that date, I go make sure I got some gifts.
Right.
So that I show up bearing gifts, so I create the separation. I then can have that type of discussion, and they can't lie to me at that point because I know nobody else has done. That's funny. I've been in real estate for 2, 4, 10 years. I've never been taught that till I hired this coach here and started applying it immediately. You got to create the separation, gang, but you know what that comes with? Niching down on your performance, not the market, your performance. You are everything. All that other stuff is the byproduct of your performance. Anybody else have anything? Thank you, Cindy, for that very much.
Thank you.
Look at sources, get the data, know what you're up against, and backdoor them. They won't even know it. Great to see everybody. Sorry I rambled a lot today, but this was so exciting for me. God bless you guys. I'll see you at 11. Let's apply this. Make some money, gang.